Okay, folks, we're going to talk about how to make some volume models today. And what we're going to start with is making a physical model. So you'll remember that your final plan is what you drew last time. And it will look something like this. This is to a scale of 1 to 50. So 1 meter in real life equals 2 centimeters on the drawing. So if I looked at this over here, just for example, this is actually 5 centimeters in real life. And if that's overall this distance, half of that is 2.5. So that's correct. In the same way here, it says 3 meters. And if I go and measure it, it's actually 6 centimeters. So if I want to make a model, the first thing I need to do, a physical model, is to figure out some sizes. Well, I've taken my sizes from all of my different walls and I've numbered them A, B, C, D, etc. And I've said what they are in meters over here. And then I've actually figured them out in a scale, our scale of 1 to 50. So if we're using our scale of 1 meter equals 2 centimeters, it means that this wall that's 5 meters long would be 10 centimeters. Okay? And if you go down this list, you can see the different meter lengths of the wall and what they actually are in centimeters. One thing to bear in mind that all of the wall's height, how tall they will be actually 2.5 meters if you go back to our container sizes, and that will be 5 centimeters. So now I need some things to do my actual modeling with. I'm going to need, obviously, a ruler again. Okay. I'm going to need a pair of scissors. I'm going to need some masking tape. Okay. Or maybe just basic sellotape. But the other material I'm going to need is a cereal box. Okay. Something like an old cereal box for cornflakes or something like that. Alternatively, I might use a shoebox. Okay. That could work as well. So, next stage, I've got my materials. I've opened up my cereal box so it's a nice flat shape, nice and carefully. I need to do some measuring. So what I've started to do here is I've actually started to mark out my pieces for my different walls, and I've measured them. So there's the 5 centimeter height. And I've tried to get as many pieces on this piece of cardboard as possible. Okay. And if we go back to my actual measurements, I'm missing one of those. And it's this piece because I couldn't fit it on. So I'm quickly going to measure that out now. So it's my piece A for my wall, this piece, and it's 10 centimeters long and it's obviously 5 centimeters tall. So I'm going to go back to my shoebox and I'm going to quickly measure that out. So this is the way that we would measure it out. I'm going to get my ruler and it needs to be 5 by 10. So if I go to this nice sharp corner over here and measure from this corner, I can measure 10 centimeters and I can measure 5 centimeters down. I'll do the same there. So I've got somewhere to line it up with. And now I can just measure that across. And I can measure 10 centimeters again from this point. And then line that up in the same way. Okay. So now it's about cutting. In school, we'd probably use a craft knife and a safety ruler. Because we're doing it at home, we'd also have a cutting mat in school. We're going to cut this out with a pair of scissors. Okay, so very carefully, I'm going to cut this out with a pair of scissors. Cut this piece out. Nice and accurate on the lines I've done. And there's my other wall that I need there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is pause the video and I'm going to cut the rest of the pieces of the card out. And maybe that's where you should get to. Go and measure out all of your pieces of card that you would need. Go and do the calculations of each length of the wall in centimeters, the height, go and find your cardboard box, open up your cardboard box and go in, put them all on, all of those measurements that we just spoke about. Okay, and I'm going to pause my video for a second. So what I've done now is cut out all of my pieces, as you can see. They're all spaced out here, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, and what I've also done is went and drawn out my plan on another piece of cardboard like this, and I've labeled where my different rooms would go. Okay, you'll see it says A, C, B, slightly confusing, but when I marked out my rooms, I just made it a little bit easier on my plan. A, B, so that referred to that, and C refers to this. Just made it easier for me to understand. So now that I know where each piece will go, I can actually start to stick them into position. So I'm going to take my piece A, and that's where that's going to go. And what I've done is actually got some masking tape that's already the right size, and I'm going to stick that on the outside so it actually will stay where I want it to go. Okay, so that's stuck down into position now. My next piece is obviously C is going here, so I'm going to pick up C, and that's going to go in that position. So I'm going to need a piece of masking tape that goes around the outside, and I'm going to stick that like so into the right position as well. Okay. This is a fiddly sort of exercise, so I'm just going to cut off a piece of tape there that I don't need anymore. Okay, so that goes in the right position there. Okay, and what I'm going to continue to do now is basically go around and stick all of those different pieces into position. So B goes there, so I'm going to stick some tape onto that and cut it off so it's just the right height to just make it a little bit simpler. And stick it there and line it up with my other piece like that. So, and I'm going to just stick some more tape to keep these walls in position so they don't move by sticking some around the outside like this. And I'll stick another piece there so it can't move as well. And it's stuck to the actual baseboard. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just continue to do that. I'm going to pause the video again and I'll come back to you when they're all stuck into position. Okay. So now I've actually put all of my pieces on, and that's what my actual plan looks like in reality when I make a physical model. One of the things I could do now is start to think about an extension onto that. I could start to actually place my rooms inside that I had in my plan, which would mean a little bit more measuring and thinking about where these walls would go and where these doorways could go. I could actually start to put some of these doorways into the outside, and I would take a photograph of this and I would put it into my portfolio on the first page when we talk about volume modeling. So I would get a nice angle, perhaps something like this. If you see in my, something like this, maybe from a couple of different angles, so I could start to see it, to see how it would look. Obviously, if you have different floors, you would need to make a physical model for the different floors. Okay, this is just my plan only has one floor, maybe yours has two or three, and you would do one for each one, and then maybe you could line them up on top of each other to show how it would look. Okay, and that's how you make a physical model. Thanks a lot.